Mineşşeytanirracim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Elhamdülillahi Rabbil alemin. Ve salatu ve selamu ala Resulina ve Habibina ve tabi kulubina ve şefi zunubina Muhammedin ve ala alihi ve ashabihi ve etba'i ve ihvanihi minel enbiyai vel murselin ecma'in. Radiyallahu anna ve ankum ve an kâfetil müminin. Rabbena atina min ledunke rahmeten ve heyyi lena min emrina raşeda. Allahümme ansur men nasaraddin fec'alna minhum وَخْسُلْ مَنْ خَزَلَ الدِّينِ وَلَا تَجْعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ. So inshallah ta'ala we will continue reading from مدارج السالكين بين منازل إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. This book is by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya. We will read the section on al-Futuwwa inshallah ta'ala. So Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya, you know, he dedicated one section to Futuwwa, and we started in our previous lesson. We will continue from the point where we have left. As I have mentioned, Futuwwa and Muruwwa and Makarim al-Akhlaq, Ihsan, Adab, these are synonymous concepts. Synonymous concepts. And he is now presenting to us definitions of Futuwwa by as-Salaf as-Salihin, you know, scholars from the previous generations. So we have read the different definitions, and today we'll continue inshallah ta'ala. So he says, قال الفضل الفضال bin Iyad. Fudal bin Iyad said, you know, defining the Futuwwa, الفتوة الصفح. الفتوة الصفح عن عثرات الإخوان. The Futuwwa is to be tolerant, you know, regarding the mistakes of your friends, the mistakes of your brothers and sisters. Okay, so this tolerance, this forgiveness, this is the Futuwwa. So don't expect your friends, your brothers, your sisters, people around you always to be excellent in their relationship with you, in their treatment with you. You know, sometimes they are excellent, sometimes they are not excellent. Sometimes they make mistakes. You also make mistakes with them, right? So, you know, so you have to be forgiving. You have to be tolerant with them. And Rasulullah says that if your wife does something wrong, immediately bring to your mind the good things she did before to balance. Okay, you know. But if you focus only on this mistake and forget all the good things she has done before, then this relationship will be in danger, right? So the same thing applies for the wife. So the wife, when she sees the wife did something wrong, she should remember all the good things he has done before. Then, you know, she has more comfort to be tolerant, to forgive. You know? But if you say, I have never seen anything good from you, this is called inkarul ashir. Inkarul ashir. So you have a good friend, you know, he's been very good for you, and suddenly he did something wrong, and then you react, you know, and you don't forgive, and this relationship is broken. So this is not good, neither for men, nor for women, nor for friends. So keeping old friendships is very important in Futuwwa. من الفتوة حفظ الود القديم. You know, part of the Futuwwa is maintaining your relationships. So they say a person who does not have old friends is not good. Why? Because either he is not good, people run away from him, or he is not loyal to his friends. Because to maintain friendships for a longer period requires loyalty, right? So you have to be good with people so that they want to remain your friends. But if you are bad, they run away from you. And you have to be loyal to your friends and keep them for a longer period of time. And in friendships, there are sometimes atharat, mistakes, wrongdoings. So when you react in a negative way, a relationship cannot survive for a long time. So the best way to react, to treat, is remember the good things your friend did before. So when you remember that, then a balance is reached, and this mistake is not neutralized, then you become more forgiving, more tolerant. This is the technique Rasulullah taught. Okay, especially in the family, this is the advice he gave to men. He gave to husbands. So like when your wife does something wrong, remember all the good things she has done before. Then you become more tolerant. But if you focus only on this mistake, not good. And actually, this is the way Allah Ta'ala treats His creatures, His worshippers. And Rasulullah explained this in the following hadith. كلكم خطاؤون وخير الخطائين التوابون. So you all make mistakes. So, but when you make a mistake, what does Allah Ta'ala do to you? Does He take your life immediately and put you in hellfire? No. He gives you muhla. Allah Ta'ala yuhmilu. Allah Ta'ala yumhilu wa la yuhmilu. Yani yumhil. Yani he gives muhla. Yani imhal. ولكن لا يهمل ما في إهمال ولكن في إمهال. So when you do something wrong, Allah Ta'ala gives you extended period of time so that you can apologize, you can make up, but He never forgets. It's written in your book of deeds. And the basic principle, تخلقوا بأخلاق الله وتخلقوا بأخلاق رسول الله. So adopt the morality of Allah Ta'ala. Morality means, relations, like how you maintain your relationship. So look how Allah Ta'ala maintains His relationship with creatures. He's afu, He's most forgiving, right? So you be the same. You become the forgiving. And you do this for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. So if you do this, then you have two benefits. One benefit, you can ajr from Allah Ta'ala. The other benefit, you save your relationship. So there is mundane benefit and then the ukhravi benefit. The mundane, this world the benefit, you save your relationship. The ukhravi benefit, you get ajr from Allah Ta'ala. Because everything Allah Ta'ala asks us to do, everything Rasulullah ﷺ recommends us to do, has many benefits for us in this world and in the akhirah. But we do it not because of the benefits involved. We do it because this is what pleases Allah Ta'ala, because this is what Rasulullah ﷺ ordered us to do. That's ikhlas. When you do something with ikhlas, you get a lot of benefits in this world and in the hereafter. Although those benefits are not your goal, these are like side products, bonus, gifts from Allah Ta'ala because of your ikhlas. Okay, so inshallah from now on, we become very tolerant, very forgiving in our relationships with our friends, with our family members, with our colleagues. And we do this for the sake of Allah. Because al-afu khair. Al-afu khair. Okay, forgiving is better than retaliating. And we do this because this is what Allah Ta'ala ordered us to do. As I said, in Islamic ethics and morality, there are different levels. One level is ethics of reciprocity based on exchange, based on retaliation, qisas. This is moral, but futuwwa is about this. Futuwwa, not making retaliation. Futuwwa is forgiving. Futuwwa is idfa billati ahsan, responding to evil with goodness. Not goodness, with best. Ahsan. Idfa billati hiya hasan. Allah Ta'ala lam yakul hiya hasan. Qala ahsan. Okay? So actually, this should be the norm for us as Muslims. Always the best course of action. Always the best morality. Always the best ethics. So the highest standard of morality, al-ahsan. This is al-futuwwa. Of course, you may act, according to something less than al-ahsan, which is based on reciprocity. This is also acceptable, but this is not the akhlaq of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. This is not the akhlaq of Sahaba. This is not akhlaq of awliyaullah. So that's why futuwwa is going above the general akhlaq, which is the minimum standard. The minimum standard is reciprocity, exchange. That's the minimum standard, but you go above. Going above is forgiving, responding in the best way possible. And sometimes, people may think this is like a stupidity, like how come, like they mistreat you, you treat them in the best way possible. Are you stupid? Why do you think this? Yes, this is stupidity if you do this for the sake of other people. But this is the most intelligent thing if you do it for the sake of Allah. Because, you are profiting from this. It's your best interest to follow Allah Ta'ala's commandments, get ajr from Allah Ta'ala. So which one is better? To retaliate, take your revenge and get a nafsani pleasure out of it, or forgive and get reward from Allah Ta'ala in the hereafter. Which one is better? Which one is more profitable? Of course, getting even the smallest reward, smallest ajr you get from Allah Ta'ala is much bigger than any reward you can gain in this world. Because Allah Ta'ala is Al-Ghani. It wouldn't be appropriate for Him to give you some small reward, some small gift, right? Because the gifts are according to the level of the person who's giving it to you. So if Allah gives you a gift, it's not going to be something cheap, something small. Any small reward, like the smallest reward from Allah Ta'ala is much bigger than any reward you can gain in this world. So smart people, they work to get their reward from Allah Ta'ala. And less smart people, they try to get their reward from other people. But compared to the reward one gets from Allah, running after the reward you get from other people, this is like meaningless, right? So in every action we do, we should aim pleasing Allah Ta'ala. So as I mentioned in our previous lesson, our horizontal relationships with other people is shaped by our vertical relationship with Allah Ta'ala. Okay? So, like the way we relate to other people horizontally is shaped by our relationship with Allah Ta'ala. So there is always a third partner. Myself, yourself, but Allah Ta'ala also as the third one in this relationship. When you react, when you interact, you always take into consideration what's pleasing, what's most pleasing to Allah Ta'ala. And in this case also, Fudail bin Iyad says, Al-futuwwatu as-safhu an atharat al-ikhwan. You know, futuwwat is being tolerant, being forgiving, the mistakes of your brothers and sisters. قال الإمام أحمد رضي الله عنه في رواية ابنه عبد الله عنه قد سئل عن الفتوة. So this is a very interesting narration that Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal, you know, the founder of the Hanbali Mazhab, his son Abdullah reported from his father. So Abdullah bin Ahmed bin Hanbal reports from his father Ahmed bin Hanbal. So Ahmed bin Hanbal, rahimahullah, radiyallah, was asked, what's futuwwa? What's futuwwa? And then his answer was, tarku ma tahwa lima takhsha. Tarku ma tahwa lima takhsha. You know, controlling, abandoning your hedonistic desires out of your fear from the punishment from Allah Ta'ala, out of your fear from hellfire. Okay? Because a Muslim fears from the punishment of Allah Ta'ala. A Muslim fears from hellfire. Okay? But at the same time, we have our desires. You know, we want to, like we have our shahawat, we have our nafs and shaitan provoking us, tempting us, seducing us, you know, to do to follow our hedonistic desires. So how do you counterbalance? Okay? How to counterbalance seduction of shaitan, temptation of nafs? How do you control? You know, so Ahmed bin Hanbal, rahmatullah, his advice is remember hellfire, remember punishment from Allah. When your nafs, when shaitan, you know, tells you doing something wrong, immediately remember its consequences in the akhirah. Because Muslims evaluate their actions not by looking its mundane consequences, but by looking at its both mundane and hereafter consequences. Okay? You know, because every action we do has two types of consequences. This worldly consequence and the consequence in the hereafter. Everything you do, right? You know, so let's say we have children, they go to school, right? So studying ilm is the best action pleasing Allah Ta'ala, right? And the worldly consequence is they study, they learn a lot of things, they become successful in life. But the consequence in the hereafter, because studying is fard kifaya, and they have reward from Allah Ta'ala in paradise. So there are two types of rationality. Two types of rationality. Aql ma'ashi, aql ma'adi. Aql ma'ashi evaluates every action by looking at this worldly consequence. This is the pragmatist, materialist, you know, narrow-minded, short-term analysis and evaluation of actions. But Muslims, they have multiple layered rationality, this world and in the hereafter. الصلاح في الدنيا والفلاح في الآخرة. سعادة الدارين. Happiness in this world and happiness in the akhirah. Okay? So that's why, you know, this is called aql ma'adi. Aql ma'adi, and I translate as metaphysical reasoning, metaphysical rationality. One is materialist rationality. It is limited only with this world. And Allah Ta'ala calls them ذَلِكَ مَبْلَغُهُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ. This is the highest level they get in knowledge. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِّنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. They know only the external aspects. So this is, al-aql al-ma'ashi. But al-aql al-ma'adi, it goes beyond this world. It goes beyond zahir al-hayat al-dunya. It penetrates beyond time, beyond space. It gives you a holistic, comprehensive understanding. So there is a materialist rationality and metaphysic rationality. And so today in the modern and postmodern discourse, when they talk about rationality, they talk about this simple, narrow-minded and limited rationality. But the Muslims' rationality is much complicated, much sophisticated. It's multi-layered. But we don't exclude these world benefits, because our religion promises us happiness in this world and also happiness in the akhirah. Allah Ta'ala gave us Islam to make us happy. Okay, keep this in mind. Islam is given to us to make us happy. Rasulullah came to make humanity happy. The purpose of Quran is to make you happy. The purpose of Sunnah is to make you happy. Okay? In this world and in the hereafter. Some religions, their promise is only for the hereafter. But Islam's promise for this world and the hereafter. So the materialists, their promise is only for this dunya. Those religions, like some of those religions, their promise is only for the hereafter. But Islam combines both, because our religion is the religion of balance. So Imam Ahmed, radiallahu anh, he's saying that when Hawa, your hedonistic desires attacks you, remember its consequences in the akhirah, okay, from which you fear, then you abandon this. So let me tell you a story. So there was a sultan, he had a daughter. She was such a beautiful, girl, and she was bored in the palace. Okay, she said, "I'm gonna escape from the palace. I'll be free. I'll explore what's in the world." So she escapes from the palace, but she doesn't know where to go. She gets lost, and the darkness comes, night. She has no place to go. She sees a madrasa, knocks the door, and there is only one student, in the madrasa. So he opens the door. She says, I got lost. I have no place to go. Could you please accept me in the madrasa, so until the morning, and then in the morning when sun rises, I'll go my home, and she doesn't introduce herself. So the student of the madrasa, Talib al-Ilm, had to accept her to his room. And in the room, there's like one room, so she's lying there, and he's there, and he's reading a book while she's lying there, and there is a candle. And the girl sees that from time to time, this young man, student of knowledge, puts his finger on the candle, on the fire of the candle, and then takes back. So in the morning, when sun rises, the girl goes back to palace. She learned outside world is not like how she was imagining. She goes back to her father's palace, tells this story. And the father, sends some soldiers. They bring this young madrasa student to the palace. The Sultan thanks him for protecting his daughter, But at the same time, he says, my daughter told me that like you are putting your finger on the candle and from time to time while you are reading the book. What was why were you doing this? And this young man says, Shaitan was coming and telling me, wow, this is a beautiful girl, why don't you enjoy your time? And there is nobody around. And I was telling to myself, oh my nafs, what's the punishment for this? Hellfire. And I was telling my nafs, oh my nafs, if you can endure the fire of his candle, then you can endure the fire of hellfire. And I was like, making my nafs taste, the bitterness of the fire, and telling myself, oh my nafs, you cannot even endure the fire of a small candle. How are you going to endure the fire of the hellfire? So this is how I was, stopping myself and controlling myself. So this is the method. This is the technique. Like how you control your hedonistic desires. By remembering the punishment. Involved as a consequence of it. This is the definition of Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal, and he's giving a very good advice. How you fight against seductions, against temptations. And Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya says, وَلَا أَعْلَمُ لِأَحَدٍ مِنَ الْأَئِمَّةِ الْأَرْبَعَةِ فِيهَا سِوَاهُ. He says, I don't know any of the other four Imams, Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, or Imam Shafi, said anything about Futuwwa. So Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal is the only one who talked about Futuwwa, and he defined Futuwwa. So this is very interesting. So there is a Hanbali tradition of Futuwwa. There are many Hanbali scholars, who wrote on Futuwwa, and so it begins with Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal, and later other scholars wrote, and Ibn Taymiyyah is one of them, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi is another one, Ibn Mimar is another one, and there are many other scholars, who wrote on this from the Hanbali scholars, and I believe the fact that Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal, made this statement was a kind of encouragement for them, to write on this on Futuwwa. وسئل الجنيد عن الفتوة. So Junaid al-Baghdadi, he was asked on Futuwwa, and فقال لا تنافر فقيرا ولا تعارض غنيا. Okay, so you should not hate, you should not disdain a poor person because he is poor, and you cannot, and you should not show off, or oppose anybody because he is rich. So the richness or the poverty of a person should not be a cause to determine how you behave with them. Okay? So you should be blinded regarding their wealth. Okay? So whether they are fakir or ghani, rich or poor, this should not change the way you interact with them. They say if the wealth or the poverty of a person determines the way you interact with them, the way you treat them, they say this is shirk. Shirk khafi. Shirk khafi. That means money determines your behavior. Wealth shapes your relationship with other people, not Allah. Okay? So if Allah Ta'ala's pleasure determines your relationship with other people, you shouldn't care whether they are poor or rich. But if you let the wealth or the poverty of that person shape and determine your interaction with other people, as if you are making money your God. You know, your Sharia, dinuhum dinaruhum. You look at the dinar, how much money they have, and then based on how much money they have, you decide how to treat that person. Okay, and actually, this is the modern approach in our time, because there is high class, lower class, middle class, based on what? Based on money, right? So this is exactly what Junaid al-Baghdadi, is rejecting. So today, this sociological analysis, economic analysis, political analysis, because we live in this materialist capitalist world, all of it is based on your class, your status. And what determines your class, your status? How much money you make. But this completely materialist, capitalist, and anti-Islamic view. For us, at-taqwa, in the sight of Allah Ta'ala, taqwa determines who's higher class, who's lower class. So we have al-khawas wal-awam. Khawas, the upper class, they are ulama. Ulama is khawas. And non-ulama, they are awam. This is Islamic social stratification. Islamic social stratification based on ilm, based on taqwa, based on akhlaq. So today we have like a business class, like rich people, they are given priority. If Muslims invented airplanes, they would make ulama class, or the taqwa class, or the akhlaq class. Like people with better morality, better taqwa, higher level of knowledge, they would give priority, because they are khawas, not because of their money, but because this civilization, is based on capitalistic, materialistic criteria. So, like those who have more money, they are considered elite. They are considered like upper class, regardless of how they make this money, as long as they can afford it, they are given this. And also the common people, the awam, the children, they think, oh, this is a higher class, I should also be high class. So they take them as examples. Basically, what we learn from this advice of Junaid Baghdadi is that wealth of a person, power of a person, never determine how we behave with that person. Okay, so this is what we learn. And the Futuwwa people, they don't care about the wealth of the person. They look at the ilm, they look at the akhlaq, they look at taqwa of the person when they interact with them. وقال حارس المحاسبي الفتوة أن تنصف ولا تنتصف. This was a very interesting definition. الفتوة أن تنصف. So futuwat is acting with insaf. ولا تنتصف. It's not dividing like 50% to you, 50% to me. So like giving more to the other side, not dividing 50-50, giving more. وَلَا تَنْسَوُا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Allah says, وَلَا تَنْسَوُا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Don't forget this generosity, like giving more than what other people deserve in your relationship with each other. Okay? So, al-futuwatu an tunsifa wala tantasifa. So act with insaf, with generosity, with kindness, Not just reciprocity and not okay, this is how much you deserve. No, act with ihsan, act with fadl. And anything you give, you will be compensated by Allah Ta'ala multiple times more in this world and in the akhirah. And this also strengthens your relationship with your friends. If you say, okay, you do this, I do that. You give me this, I give you this. This is not going to be a long-lasting relationship. This is not going to be a loving and caring relationship, But if you go beyond this exchange, this reciprocal, thinking, then this relationship will be a loving relationship, caring relationship, supporting with each other, and a long-living relationship, inshallah ta'ala. وقال عمر بن عثمان المكي الفتوة حسن الخلق. So Umar bin Uthman al-Makki defined Futuwwa as حسن الخلق. Futuwwa is good morality, حسن الخلق, and حسن الخلق is defined by Rasulullah sallallahu practiced by Rasulullah sallallahu. Those secularists, they try to get their morality and ethics from those secularist philosophers. And those secularist philosophers, they are corrupt in their own life. They are, actually, perhaps some of them, they are the most corrupt people in their own society. Like those French intellectuals, they're like very corrupt. And they write about ethics. And then those miserable people, they read their books to learn ethics and practice it. Look at this misery. But we learn our ethics from messengers of Allah, from Anbiya, from Ashab, from ulama, not from those philosophers who are themselves corrupt, immoral in their personal life. So when I teach sociology and philosophy, I always teach personal life, private life of philosophers and sociologists also, to deconstruct this image of those, in quote, great sociologists, great thinkers. When students learn their family life, how they cheat, how they lie, how corrupt they are, then they get disillusioned. But if you don't teach them that part, they think, oh, these are great scholars, big philosophers. But those philosophers, they don't practice what they preach in their own life. But we get our ethics, our morality from Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and who said, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. So his project was to complete مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. He didn't say, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. He said, بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. What is the difference between مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ and akhlaq? Because akhlaq has multiple levels, okay? There is akhlaq and there is makarim al-akhlaq. So makarim al-akhlaq is the highest level of akhlaq. The highest level is not reciprocal, but responding with the best way. That's husnul khuluq. So you have a choice. Either you follow the line of philosophers or the line of messengers of Allah, Rusul and Anbiya. You have a choice, And we choose following Anbiyaullah. We choose Rusulullah. Some people, those secularists, materialists, atheists, they following those secularist, materialist philosophers. Those philosophers, each one rejects those who came before him. They say, oh, I am the best. People before me, they were like, so shallow. They did not know what to say. I know the best. But Enbiyaullah, the messengers of Allah, what do they say? Musaddiqan lima bayni yadayhi. They say, I brought you the same thing all the people in the chain of Anbiya since the time of Adam alayhi salam brought. I came just to reconfirm their message. Same akhlaq. Okay? So on the one hand, you have silsilatul mukazzibin, each one, belying, rejecting, downgrading everyone before him. This is the chain of philosophers. And on the other hand, the chain of Anbiya, you have silsilatul musaddiqin. Each one confirms the message of people before him. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. Either you follow, those materialist, secularist, atheist philosophers, try to get your akhlaq, your ethics, your morality from them, or get from Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam and other messengers of Allah Ta'ala. Okay. وقال محمد بن علي الترمذي الفتوة أن تكون خصما لربك على نفسك. So Muhammad bin Ali at-Tirmizi said, Futuwwa is showing adversity against your nafs for the sake of Allah. Fighting your nafs, your hedonistic desires, your excessive desires for the sake of Allah, to please Allah. Yeah. So inside of us, there is a conflict between our nafs and our aql. Our aql follows wahy, which comes from Allah Ta'ala, but our nafs, follows our desires. Those desires, if they are lawful, if they are within the lawful domain, halal domain, no problem. But our nafs and shaitan don't want to accept any limits. They want to go beyond the borders. They want to go beyond the border of halal and haram. They don't want to accept any limits. So when our nafs wants to cross the limit of halal, the border of halal, we should fight. We should say, okay, stop. Don't cross the border. Stay where you are. Our rule in our relationship with our nafs, أعطي نفسك حقه وامنعه من حظه. Give your nafs its due right, but stop it from excessive desires, hedonistic desires. So Rasulullah said, وَلِنَّفْسِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقٌّ. So your nafs has rights on you. Okay? So give the rights. But your nafs wants to go beyond the right. Okay? So then you say, stop, fight. Then the fight starts. So inside of us, there's a battlefield. Our nafs and our aql fighting with each other. And Rasulullah said, أَعْدَى عَدُوِّكَ نَفْسُكَ بَيْنَ يَدَيْكِ. The most dangerous enemy of yours is your nafs, which you carry with you all the time. So this enemy always with us because it's inside of us. So you have to watch out, and tame and subdue that nafs under the control of aql, under the control of reason. But what happens if you let your nafs free? Then it beats aql, turns aql into a slave. Aql starts serving nafs. This is called an-nafs al-ammara. So ammar, ish ma'na ammar? Commander, in giving amr, giving a lot of amr, not one amr. Ammar, giving commands. So nafs gives amr to aql, nafs gives amr to you, and you become slave of the nafs, trying to please the nafs all the time. So that's an-nafs al-ammara. So we should have al-aql al-ammara. And al-aql, so we should be ruled by our aql. And this is called an-nafs al-mutma'inna. Because when you, like your nafs tries to deceive you by saying, okay, follow my commands, follow your desires, then you'll be happy. But this is an illusion. This is an illusion. You will never be happy like this. The real happiness comes when you keep your nafs within the borders of halal. That's why an-nafs al-mutma'inna, the happy nafs, is not the nafs which follows the desires. The happy nafs is the one which subdues nafs, keeps it within the domain of the halal. Okay? Then you become happy. But shaitan always tells us, you want to be happy? Okay, don't accept any halal or haram. Those postmodernists, those post-truth people, they say, there is no right and wrong. So that means there's no halal and haram. But if there is no halal and haram, if there is no right and wrong, so how do you decide what's the right thing to do? So they follow their nafs. They follow their nafs. They turn their nafs into God. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. So postmodernity is the religion of hawa. Post-truth is the worship of al-hawa. They say, kill the police in your minds. Kill the police in your mind. What's the police in your mind? Is your aql. Destroy, kill your reason, because reason tells you, okay, this is halal, this is haram, this is right, this is wrong. So they want to feel free, like the animals, whatever they desire, they want to do it. And when they commit any sin, they want to feel, they don't want to feel any guilt, because aql, reason, makes them feel guilty, when they do something wrong. And they present this freedom as freedom. No, it's not freedom. It's slavery of al-hawa. It's slavery of shaitan, slavery of nafs, slavery of hedonistic desires. And the promise is false. It will never bring you happiness. On the contrary, it will bring you unhappiness and destruction. The real happiness comes from moderation. The real happiness comes by following the guidelines your Creator gave to you. Because your Creator knows what will make you happy. And these are the promises, false promises of shaitan. The first promise shaitan made was in paradise to Sayyidina Adam and Hawa. It was a false promise, but they were deceived by it. When they realized it's false, it was too late. But shaitan continues doing the same thing, and we also get deceived doing the same mistake again and again. So we have to be very aware of it, very much aware of it. Again, Futuwwa defined as وَقِيلَ الْفُتُوَّةُ أَنْ لَا تَرَى لِنَفْسِكَ فَضْلًا عَنْ غَيْرِكَ. Futuwwa is not to see yourself above others. Not to see yourself above others. Like you do all these good things, you practice altruistic ethics vis-a-vis the individual's ethics, but you should never say, oh, I am better than other people because I'm so moral, I'm so ethical, I have futuwwa. If you do this, then you are a loser. You should do all these good things, but at the same time, you should never see yourself above others. Okay? You should see yourself always below the others. And when you look at others, you should always find a point they are better than you. You should not focus on the point where you are better than them. Okay? You should always find a point they are better than you. Like when you look at a stone, you should say, this stone is better than me. Why? Because it never sins. But I make sins. The stone obeys to the commands of Allah all the time, but I disobey. This stone fulfills the purpose for which it's created. I fail to fulfill the purpose I'm created for. So you see yourself even, lower than the stone, but from one perspective. Of course, you are better than the stone in many other perspectives, but always bring to mind the point you are lower than that. So this way you destroy your ego. So sometimes I see like some people, they say, I am the most humble man in the world. See, this is kibir, this arrogance, but in a very subtle way, right? We have to be very careful about these things. So may Allah help us internalize husnul khuluq. May Allah help us inherit and practice in our lives the good morality, the excellent morality Rasulullah taught and embodied in his life. And may Allah make it easy for us to practice this morality in our lives and set a good example for our children, for our students, for our friends, among ourselves. And this is the best way of making da'wah. Actions speak louder than words. So if you practice this futuwwa, the whole world become Muslim. I can sign a paper for you. In a few years, the whole world turn into Muslim because of this good morality. You know what made all these Malaysians, Indonesians Muslim? The amana of the businessmen, like the Muslim businessmen, dealing with them. So when they realized this good ethics, this good morality, they all became Muslims. So today, this is what we are missing. So this is the best way of making da'wah, inshallah ta'ala.